Alright, welcome to the ccPopulate demo. So ccPopulate is the kind of tool that lets you populate a bunch of assets or characters in a scene quickly and easily onto locators or really whatever you'd like. So let's see how it works. I run the tool, I get this window, and you can see in this scene I have 28 of these bird characters that are all in the same exact position. And those are my objects I want to populate around, so I'm going to add them to my object list. And then I've got the same number of locators, and you really don't have to have the same number of locators, but I felt scientific today. So since they're all in the same position, obviously I don't want to just populate them to where they already are and all in the same position. So what this right here lets me do is add noise to either translate, rotate, or scale on the axes, as you can probably read. So I can press that a few times until I get something I like. Let's say that. And it's really just moving them. I can go in and manually move them as well if I want. Let's say I want to get some more space between these guys. Cool. And then without checking any of these boxes, I'll go ahead and hit populate. And you can see that now I've moved all of those rigs onto those locators. And they have just moved there. There's no constraining or anything that goes on. With no checkboxes, you can see that I can move them. But let's say I hit don't delete constraints, or let me at least first show why. So I can keep hitting noise, and it's not going to, the rigs aren't going to follow those locators. I hit populate, I hit noise, and hit populate, and try and see, and try and find something that looks good using that noise. One way you can do that that's a little bit quicker is hit the don't delete constraints, hit populate, and now when I add noise they'll follow around, which is kind of nice, so we can get something kind of quicker like this. And then also I can say like rotation, let me get some noise in the rotation so they're not all looking the same way. Try that a few times. Okay, we're starting to get something. Take these, move them so they're not intersecting. Whoops. Okay. So you can see that there's 3 of these birds that have black tails, and whenever I hit populate, let's just say like this, they all are in the same position. Now if I hit randomize objects, it's going to randomize the objects here, and they'll be applied to these locators in the same order going down, but these objects will be random. So if I had 100 locators and only 10 objects being populated onto them, they're still only going to populate onto the first 10 locators, but then how they get assigned to each one is random. And because of that, if you didn't want something like that, then you could have randomized targets, and that would do the thing where it would in that scenario it would populate into 10 of the 100 locators, and the targets become randomized. And so and you can run both for extra randomness. There's nothing wrong with that. You can see that when I press that, my birds with the black tail are moving all around. And that, for the most part, is basically it. But there's one really kind of cool and important thing that makes this tool a little bit more powerful, and I want to show you that. And it's when used in conjunction with my multi-object constraint. And so I've created a ground plane here, and I'll set that as my target, and I'm going to grab all these locators and add them, and we're going to do a geometry constraint. Just type it in like that and hit constrain, and you can see all my locators have snapped down to the geometry, and they're forced on it's created a geometry constraint on each one of these locators. Okay, and so now when I populate, and boom, all my rigs are on this surface. And if I say don't delete constraints, for example, now they are stuck there, and I can even add the noise. That's just the rotation. Add the noise to the objects, and they're randomly being placed across this surface. So yeah, you can see that if I had 100, 200, 500, 1,000 characters, this is going to probably save you a lot of time.